So, well, welcome everybody to Simplify Your Social Media Meetup again. And I am the presenter today talking about key strategies for using LinkedIn. This presentation divides into two parts. The first part is going to be on your profile, a few changes that have come, some as long as a couple of years ago, but I want to make sure you know, and some as recently as this year on the profile. And then I'm going to talk about posting both posts and articles and engaging with other people on LinkedIn. Want to always remind ourselves that LinkedIn is such an excellent place for all of us as business owners to be showing up. We are the subject matter experts. We're the people that really can use LinkedIn so well to tell our stories and to engage with other people. Nothing against the other social media sites. I just happen to find that LinkedIn, for me, is the best way in the type of work I do to tell my story, to educate people about LinkedIn and other business topics, and to stay in touch with people. Let me show you how that's going to work. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll go over to, oh, that I would have done that, right? Hang on just a second while I get myself squared away to, I know what I have to do here, is exit the full screen and go back up to my LinkedIn. Because what I did is I pulled up my information about myself. So there we have it. And now I should be back. I go back to the view, close this out. And we just had Claire come in. And while I'm doing this, Claire, why don't you do a quick introduction? Okay, I've got it now.
Hello.
Hi, Claire. Just briefly say hello and where you're, especially where you live, because that's really interesting.
Well, I'm from France, but I'm half Scottish. I'm in France at the moment, but I'm shortly moving to Spain for an internship for 3 months in the north of Spain, and I'm going to be doing an internship in a dinosaur museum.
Wow.
and yeah, so I'll be, and on the side, I'm a freelance social media consultant, and I help purpose-driven businesses in hospitality and health and fitness industry to get seen by the target audience online.
Well, that's awesome. Please put your information in the chat. And I met her at the same group where Dave was. So it's a delight to get to know Claire. So now I just want to make sure, you know what, I think I've got everybody's in here. I don't see someone trying to get in. So here we'll go over to the profile. So that's a shortcut way, by the way. There's two ways to get into your profile. I usually always know, make sure you can go here. Everybody can see okay. Dave, can you just raise your hand? And I see you. Can you see the screen of the LinkedIn? Go. So you can go here with a circle, right, with the picture, and then go to your profile or over to the left. So the first thing I want to show, which I may have shown last year, but not all you were here, is this really nifty thing called the video cover story, or video, also called the profile video. So it's about 30 seconds. So it's not too long, but hopefully gives you an idea of what you too could also do.
Are you a business owner or a job seeker who is really frustrated with your LinkedIn experience?
Can you hear this okay?
Would you like to be more productive, more effective on this very important social media site? If so, contact me, Joyce Feustel, Boomers Social Media Tutor. I have the knowledge, the patience, and the positivity to help you out.
How did I do that, you may be asking me? You go to the app on your phone and I set it up on a little tripod thingy, and I practiced probably 10, 15 times easily, making a video till I felt comfortable with it. And then I went to the app live, and there you go. And it's actually a very straightforward process, but the tricky part is really the video, really. So I think it's a good idea. Not everybody's doing it. You'll stand out just by doing it. So I'm going to move on, and now creator mode. And this, I'm going to stop just as I go through each of these with any questions. Many people are asking me about creator mode. Should I do creator mode? And in fact, in the chat, just say if you are on creator mode. You don't have to elaborate. So I'd be curious to see how many just in this group of about 20 who are. Now, here's how you enable creator mode, and I'll show you what happens when you do that. So you go down to resources and you get to creator mode and turn and click like this. Now we're going to scroll down and we're going to click on next. Now LinkedIn will show you 5 topics that it sees you posting a lot about. And it has typically had for me personal branding, but I went in there last night when I was practicing with this. Maybe I'll take it back to what it was. So if you do like anything related to personal branding, so you could have that. But I think I'll stick with LinkedIn connections. So I have these 5 topics that will appear right below my profile. I'll show you here in a second, or a minute really. But notice this too, folks. When you enable creator mode, you also get access to LinkedIn Live, which is very similar to Facebook Live, but LinkedIn does have to approve it. There is a process for getting to do an actual, really a live program right through LinkedIn. And then newsletters are really neat. I see a lot of them coming up. They've essentially replaced articles. So if you write, I'm thinking Mary Gall, you could be a candidate for this, because there really is a great format. You can ask people to subscribe to your newsletter. You can't, excuse me, ask them to subscribe to an article. And then when people see your newsletter, they'll see how many people subscribe. You can feature it. There's a lot of things that are good about that. Now here is, so I'll click on done so you can see what happens. So now I have enabled my creator mode. So watch carefully. Do you see over here, folks? We have these 5 hashtags, as I just showed you. Well, that adds on. You figure you have 220 character limit here for your profile headline. Look how much more information you're able to share with people. Well, I think there's a lot of positives for the creator mode. Plus, if you have a decent number of followers, I'll say even over a few hundred, then that shows up the exact number. Otherwise, 500 plus could be 601 or it could be 6,000. So I do have a lot of followers. What I think is true though for me, and why I don't do creator mode, is because of the fact that when, let's say Dave and I weren't connected on LinkedIn, we'll just say, and he goes to my profile, he will not see the word connect, he'll see the word follow, because I'm in this mode. And then he thinks, well, wait a minute, I really want to be connected with Joyce. I want her to see my stuff and I'll see hers. How do I do that? Well, the way he would do that is to click on more, and then there's a little option to connect. But you see, my clientele, as most of you know, I would call them rookie users, newer users, kind of semi-beginning users. And my concern is that individual would be so confused trying to connect with me. I don't want to be in creator mode, if that's making sense to people. Would people just want to chime in here quickly? Any thoughts about it for whether creator mode makes sense for you or not, just based on that little bit I told you?
I would definitely say that's concerning, because a lot of the people that I work with are, beginning Excel users or just, basics of designing. So we're not like, experts by any means. Also, I am not, obviously a social media expert. I don't know if I would know to go click on more myself. And, I've been on the internet for decades, but yeah, my thing is data and numbers, and not like, oh, let's go, anytime you're like, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, thanks for weighing in. And I'll take someone like Mary, who does post a lot. Could be someone. Have you enabled it? I'm just curious if you'd like to, you're going.
I haven't, just for that same reason, because I want connections. And I am seeing more and more people that have that follow button, and I know to go to the more and connect. So I still connect with them, but the first few times I saw it, I had that same reaction. It's like, how do I connect to this person? So it is confusing for people. So that I haven't.
That kind of bears out my thinking. Thank you, both of you.
But I do like the newsletter feature. That's kind of nice.
That's the sad part. I was like, well, life's full of trade-offs, right? So I'm going to go down to featured. Now, featured came out actually right about the time that COVID did. That's why I always remember, it was kind of a good thing outside of other things. It was back in the spring of 20. And what featured is, it's an opportunity to showcase. It could be a post that's high performing, an article you wrote, a thought piece of some kind. It's a little different version of a post, a link maybe to a landing page, maybe to a YouTube video, something like that, or just simply a still picture. So I'll show you. So if I was to add more to this, here would be a post that I did the other day. Whoops, sorry about that. Go back into it. You click on the plus, you go down, and here is a post. So see, I just click on feature. So now there goes that. Now it's going to be up there. See how it now popped in? Now, and this is actually, oops, I didn't want to go to this way, sorry. Now I'm going to click on plus, and I'm going to actually add an article. And this article is one I did last night, just so I had something to show you. But I'll show you what it looks like here when we pull it up. And another thing I could do is, let's say, maybe add a picture. So add media, watch this. So now if I go over here into my documents, into my boomers, into my photos, and I was recently at the South Metro Denver Chamber event, and I'll look for a picture. I have something like Joyce with the audience. I'll find it here if I look, or just the audience. So I can go down and find that picture and then put it up here. Oh, I should, a little bit too many pictures to go through, right? So hard for teaching. So what I think I'll do is I will say audience at Women in Business. So we'll just put this up just for demonstration. So now I would put in a headline. I would not have that title. See this? So you don't want to have audience at business with Joyce speaking at Women in Business. Well, Joyce speaking. Okay. So I would have it more than that. So that, just to show you how you can grab that picture. So now we have that. So here I can then move these around. So if I wanted to move that audience picture, I could go here and I'll pull it over to the side. I'll just pull it down a little bit, maybe below these other two. And then now this over on the right-hand side. So you see how I'm doing all that? But now I've decided maybe I don't really want that picture. I just showed you how to get a picture, so I can go in here, I can remove that picture from here. And especially because I wanted to show you this other one of me and my husband. Those of you that follow me on LinkedIn may have seen this post already.
Happy 50th.
Yes, 50 years, April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And doesn't a picture like this kind of stand out on LinkedIn? I mean, A, it's black and white. B, is obviously not taken recently. And so what I did on my 50th, and this really will bleed over into the posting, is I told the story about meeting my husband, but I didn't lead with that. I talked about other times I said yes to my first opportunity to go into sales, when someone saw a salesperson in me in an informational interview. And 17 years later, I was still doing sales. And when my manager, before I retired to this business, saw that I would be good at helping people with social media, he said, have you ever thought of doing something like that? I go, well, no, but yes, that sounds interesting. So, I mean, those are like, this is my origin story, folks. You're hearing, this is kind of a special event to hear some of my backstory. And then when my husband and I were wrapping meat in the small meat packing plant in Madison, Wisconsin, Jennifer, you'll love this. It was right off of State Street, Johnson Street. And he asked me to go to the movie Patton. And then we started dating. And by September, we were living with each other. I don't say that too much publicly. And because it was 1971 after all. And then we got engaged, and then we got married at this Unitarian church on April Fool's Day, 1972. And then I go on to say, you know, we were both 23. I know I look like I'm 12 and, you know, in this picture, but I really was of age. And I made that paisley dress because I don't look that good in white anyway. And I wore it through the 70s, and then my daughters wore it. Now my little 6.5-year-old granddaughter has it. So, but look at this. It has 10,000 views. Just incredible. 10,000 views.
Wow.
The only other thing that eclipses this is when I wore my Mrs. Santa dress back at Christmas time holding my birthday cake. So I tell you these because, you know, LinkedIn isn't just about business. It's about you too. So now you're all excited like, well, Joyce, oh my gosh, I've never heard of feature. How am I going to feature something if I don't have it yet? Okay, now we're going to segue over to kind of a little bit of the boring part, but it's important. So watch this, add profile section. Well, let's start with just to kind of walk you through it. In this is what's changed in 22. Add profile section has got 3 different categories. They used to have other categories, but they've renamed them. So the core would be your summary. Hope you all have a summary or about section, anything for education, position. And then it has an interesting new thing called career break. And what is that? Well, LinkedIn is finally with the times to show that we don't go linear job to job to job to job for our lifetimes. Well, some people do, like my husband, but then, we're 73 and that's a traditional lifestyle. But maybe you were caring for an elder. Maybe you were a home parent, a home mom like I was. Maybe you were traveling, whatever it might have been. The only weird thing about this is they have the same exact little kind of icon for it. So you might not like the look of it if you actually populated it, just play around with it. But I think like you, say, Claire, if you're in between things and you have, maybe you're traveling for the summer between your internships, that maybe that would work. But it is something that shows that we step away from a traditional job or work situation. So the other things they have in here and skills. Now here's where featured comes. So you go again, and it's in the, actually I should put that in now. Let me take a quick moment. Well, I'll just wait till the end and I'll put it in. I promise the handout that I want to put into the chat, or actually, Joyce, you can do this. Here it is. Okay. So I want to go and I will show you this because I think it will help to have it with you. So when I'm for what I was going to start to say about this listing, I have all of these listed in the the document that I put together for this program. So there it is, finally. Ta-da. Oops, that's it. That's not it. Okay, simplify your social media. Okay. Now we should have that in the chat. Okay, sorry for that little detour. So now when we go back here, we'll see if we go to recommended, you can click on add featured. Now you're not going to see anything featured, but you'll have a plus sign. And then you can go and grab all these things like I just showed you how to do. So I hope that's making sense. And then the other thing is you can add certifications and licenses, courses. Maybe you've taken professional courses. Like you, for example, I'm thinking, Marion, you've got that special certification. You've taken courses in being a resume creator. So therefore, maybe you have a certain certification for it, add those in there. Or Marsha, your coach. So you might have those kinds as well. And your MSW, Jennifer, would, I think, probably come under that. Now, here's another interesting one. Look at this, folks. Add recommendations. What does that mean? So let's say, Michael, that no one's recommended you. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. So now you want me to recommend you. I'm your client. You help me with my Excel. So then you're going to ask me. So say I'm going to ask, well, I'll just ask Jennifer just to put her name because she's sitting here. So if I was going to ask Jennifer to recommend me, because I actually have helped her with LinkedIn. So I type her name in, then I go to continue and then see how well, Jennifer's my client. And what's my position? Well, it's really my tutoring role. And then when I click on send, maybe I'll just go ahead and do this. You don't have to do it, Jennifer. But then I would click on send. I would write a note. Now, then that's the point where I'd reach out to Jennifer. And I'd say, hey, Jennifer, I'd email her. Go to your LinkedIn and look in your messaging icon. There's going to be a message from LinkedIn from me asking you to recommend me. And if she would send me back, say a message that had a typo in it, a recommendation, then I'd say, oh, please, Jennifer, I'd click on ask for a revision and ask her for the change. So don't put anything up as a recommendation where there's a mistake. That's not a good idea. So the other way I could have asked her, and you tell me what you think, Jennifer Parker, make sure I get to her, not her company page. The other way I know to do this, but going back to your point, Mary Gall, you have to know to click on more. See, when I go down to more, that's where I can ask her, request the recommendation. See, now we have the same template. But my hunch is that LinkedIn has figured out that people don't know how to do that, because, it's not intuitive, right? So therefore, they've given us, this lovely option of going to recommended, and then that's how we can get a recommendation requested. Now, once you have one recommendation on your profile, then you can just go down to that section and click on the plus sign. And is there any question at all about what I've just gone over? Anybody have anything so far? Well, then this next part in add profile sections, this presumes you don't have these sections, is maybe you volunteer, but you never thought to put it in there. So there could be things like Mary Gall, like you volunteered, say, let's say with sheep. You maybe done things like the PERS project or something. That could be a kind of volunteering. So you would have that, you would then populate your volunteer experience. It's a lot like a job or a position description, but it starts with the organization, that's all. So the volunteer, but here, the rest of these for many years had been grouped under accomplishments. Accomplishments appear at the bottom of the page. So you have publications, patents, projects, honors and awards, test scores, languages, like Claire probably, what do you speak at least 3 languages, Claire? Organizations, and then causes. And then again, they each have their own little template. But let me show you folks how these populate then at the end. So we go down, let's start first with, well, here's certifications. That came out of that recommended section. Here's a volunteering. Then this whole next group was all kind of together under accomplishments. Now I think they are more directly on the profile. Not finding exactly the right words I want, but they pop out more, in my opinion. See, publications, maybe Marcia, you've written some things, I'm guessing. Of course, Jennifer, you got your whole book that you would have under that, right? Which I think we worked on that. Courses, projects. The cool thing about projects is then you can actually drop people's names in. So I didn't co-author this book that these 2 guys wrote. No, I didn't. This is Steve Dotto. A lot of people know him, especially in Canada, and Bob Poole. But they did ask me to write a section on LinkedIn for their book, No Limit Over 50. So I thought, well, that's kind of a project. So I'll put that in there because I think that qualifies for a project. And it kind of associates me with these, especially Steve Dotto, well-known people. Honors and awards. This is when my Toastmasters, I've done a lot for them, and service is how I got those awards. And then I was a top graduate back there. I never ever told you that, Jennifer, at the University of Wisconsin-Madison because of the service, really the volunteer work I did, the leadership I did. And then here, you can have organizations you used to be in and causes. So I want to just ask for a question or 2 here on the profile before we move into, oh, good. This is good, Michael, for telling. Okay, I did a break to my LinkedIn for 6 months. There was a gap between me leaving a corporate job and starting his own company. Yeah. So you could list yourself as like doing professional development during that time or whatever. That would be what I would guess.
That's what I did. I said, I was taking some time off after 22 years as an analyst, and then I was doing professional development so I could start my own company.
There you go. That makes sense.
The truth is I was burnt out.
Yeah. Let's just call a spade a spade.
But I wasn't going to write that.
Yeah.
The first one sounded nicer, Michael.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we got to make this sound good. So.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to move over then to here into our posting. Is there anything else in the chat that was coming up? So wait, can you access Jennifer Parker? I don't think so, Jennifer. I think you have to be in creator mode, which actually for you, I think I would consider that. We should talk about that sometime. It might be worth a trade-off. So our no, Patricia Moore, you do not have to redo anything. It's automatically up there. It's just not under accomplishments. There's no accomplishments title to it, but all that information you put in, nothing was removed. I'm really glad you asked it just like you did. So no redoing, This is only if people had never, filled that stuff out. And you go in there and make sure. I mean, I can't believe that would be not the case. So for posting, just to show you, and it's really easy, just having a great time, sharing strategies for using LinkedIn with the wonderful folks from my Simplify Your Social Media. Okay, Simplify Your Social Media meetup group. So I could here's an idea. I could go up to, hang on a second. So if I'm not going to tag all 20 of you, don't worry. But what I was thinking I could do is go over to my meetup group and put that in as, okay, here we go. So here's my meetup group, right? Simplify your social media. So if I go back then to LinkedIn, where I'm posting, hey, to learn more about this group, this group, which meets monthly. I can go back and later and change more. Go to, now see this, by doing this, let me get this is here, move this over. Now LinkedIn, oh, cannot display, you can post as is. Well, I didn't really like it. Very good. Check it out, check it out at this link. So of course, when did it go wrong when I'm trying to do this, right? So I'm gonna move this.
It might be that it needed to be on a separate line. I think I ran into that.
Oh, let's try that. Well, not today, apparently, but normally it will fetch it from there. So I can, and then you would have the visual. So I can just put the post up and then I can go back. I could go back and add the link. But yeah, that might be what went on. So that's here, but I'm going to take that off just because I don't want to keep it there. I want to show you a better example of something that I did do, delete that post. So when I was presenting at this Women in Business the other day, I had this guy working for me, so that helped. I mean, not for pay, but he did a great job helping me out. So let me find my activities here. Analytics, resources, about, featured. You know, I'm just going to actually redo this. The other day last night when I was practicing, I lost all of my recommendations. No, I didn't really, but the whole section didn't display. It was most concerning. And maybe I can get to it now because I really need that to show you. Well, I'll have to just like go in and out, and I might even just, okay, so that means, so posting. So let me go over to somebody else's, and this is the point I wanted to show you anyway. So here's somebody who I wanted to give you as an example of going. So you show how I did the post, pretty basic. Then I'll show you also the articles as well. But see, Tracy Card is somebody I know pretty well, and I think she's on LinkedIn fair amount. Maybe this is what I was looking for, was my own activity section, which just mysteriously had disappeared. But if I go over to Tracy and I wonder what Tracy's been up to lately. And here's something she's celebrating. And if I go down here far enough, I found this event. Actually, this was the one. She shared this event from Chrissy, who I know from an event where I spoke. So at any rate, what I did with this, and this is part of the engaging, see how, now that's what I wanted to show you. I tagged her with the @ sign. Do you see that there? I did the little @ sign, and then Tracy, I typed the T right next to the @ I brought in Tracy and the gal who posted this and the South Metro Denver Chamber. And I just got done actually doing a tutoring session for this guy here, their president and CEO. So that's a chamber I'm very fond of. I may not join them, but I want to do everything I can to promote them. So then Tracy responded back, see, and then her company was got one of their nominations. So this is like conversation that's happening in front of everybody, right? Between me and Tracy. So I'm such a fan of going to sort of selected people who maybe they're a client, maybe they're a referral partner, maybe you're in a business networking group with them, and you really want to support them in everything they do. So like Suzanne, you'd be a good example. I know you well, I consider you a personal friend from ABNG, Alternative Business Networking Group. So you put something up there, some house you're selling, some DIY tips. I'm like, oh man, I could share that, or I could comment. Now, if I comment on it, it gives it just a bit more energy, and it puts me in the flow with other people who are your people who would be there commenting. So I do recommend commenting. Either way, your people are notified, my people are notified, not all of them, but some of them at least will be. Do we have any questions coming through the chat on this? Oh, yes, Steve, excellent one. I'm going to go back and show you how that works. He asked about here, I'm doing a lot of LinkedIn Learning online courses for professional development. Where do I put those? So let's just take a quick detour back to the profile to answer his question. So here we are back in the profile, and we're going to go down to our friend add profile section. So you're following this, Steve. Now you're going to click on recommended and see that's where you would put those courses. Those courses would be, well, wait a minute. You could put them for, if you got a full certification, I would put them there. But if it's just like standalone courses, like maybe Michael was taking, like, so then you would go and you would just type in the name of the LinkedIn course, the LinkedIn learning course. Just type the name in. Do you want to unmute? Does that answer your question then, Steve?
Yeah, sort of. I just didn't know if folks were, because I take so many. I'm taking, a couple a week.
Well,
So,
I would probably just have a few. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
list
what
like more than 4 or 5 at a time. You could change it out, add them
Okay.
as you take them, maybe mix it
Okay.
up a little bit.
Okay.
Well, my, oh my, I just glad I had other people's. Normally you can access your own activity section. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over that right this minute. Now I want to show you though how to create, if there's any other questions. Oh, the deeper, okay, Dirk, let's go into that. The deeper advantage using LinkedIn Premium. Yes, you can send messages to people through LinkedIn with whom you're not connected. That's true. You get so many depending on the level of dollar amount you spend. The other thing is you get more information about a company, kind of intel. So if I was to go to, I know, I'll just look up South Metro Denver. I don't know if that would, Denver Chamber. So if I go to their company page, it's really a small outfit, but I can go down and it'll tell me if they've been hiring insights. See this here, insights? So Dirk, they're too small. So there's no insights there. But I could go to city and county of Denver. That's a pretty big outfit. So if I go there, say I'm looking to get information there about what kind of people are they hiring? Are they hiring techie people? What's happening? So see all this here. They tell you about their headcount. They tell you about where's their growth here, new hires. Also, you get information if you are looking for work, like say, like Linda is, you would know how you stand against how you compare to other folks who are looking. And then over here, you'll get information about who's looked at your profile. So watch this. So when you have a paid account, when you go down to here, the profile views, you will see now, everyone hopefully go look me up and then my ego will be just like all massage right now. But I drop off a little bit because I was doing more presentations last week and this dropped down. But it tells me, see, look at this, all these people 90 days back, I can see who's looked at my profile, and that can be valuable information when you think about it. Furthermore, over here under the searching, you want to know what in the heck to put in your profile, what's getting traction. Here are my search. These people were searching for these things. Interesting, right? All of them, except for I'm not a business coach, but I am a type of a business coach, I guess, with LinkedIn. So you will get keywords when you pay money to LinkedIn, and you will find out a little bit. Well, all this stuff you could find out for free. So, and if you do a lot of searching on LinkedIn, hey Dirk, then you might run out of search capabilities by the 20th of the month. So you only get to look up people so many times. I know that seems kind of weird, they will limit it, but they do. They actually do. Okay, are there other questions here? Okay, cool. You click the more button to find that when you can add a note. Yes, click the more button to find the connect link where you can add the note. Exactly, Terry. Right. Now I wanted to talk briefly about the articles. See, write an article. So say I was going to write an article, I could write it as Joyce. And again, this has nothing to do with a paid account, or I could write it as my business page. So that's our company page or LinkedIn page is what they call it. So if I do it, then it looks like this. This is, see how the template is different? So a post is, again, it's just kind of like a Facebook post, but an article, no, it's more like your evergreen kind of material. Like I was thinking, Hillary, you could have some really interesting pieces about what it's like before and after a CRM or something. And so then you have the title of the article, you have an image, and then you have, you can do all kinds of bolding, bulleted list. You have headings here. So I can show you now one of the article I did last night. It's a good thing I featured it because it'd be harder to find otherwise. is here. So here's this one I wrote. See, LinkedIn is a heartfelt variation of a resume. And I basically took a blog post and just repurposed it slightly. And then watch this. See, now there's a heading and there's bulleted list. And there's another smaller heading. And then there's my, a link. So it's just a different format than the post. It may not get as many eyeballs on it, I don't think, as a post does. But the nice thing, going back to it for a minute, see if we can do that. When you go to articles, people can go back and look at all your articles. So it's sort of like a showcase of them, kind of a carousel. It goes, all these different things are written about Facebook, networking. It's a chance to really give people an idea of what is your subject matter expertise. Whereas posts, there's so many, they can kind of get lost in the shuffle, because that can also include things that you've shared. So I'm trying to think. So I talked about this. Is everybody clear on how we did that with Tracy? How we went and looked at her? Remember that? I want to review that again. I feel like I've been a little bit out of order, slightly thrown off. So we went to Tracy. We went to her full profile. We went down to her activity. Now, I could have just looked at her post. And these are now, this is our post. And this is a post about a woman who spoke at the meeting last month. And so I might say something like, instead of just, let me see, I could say insightful. I'll say, here's a good one for this one. As a relatively new member, I want to say as a new member of the DTC chapter of our B2B group, I learned so much. I learned so much from our member presenters, like, now watch this. This is how you do it, Lizette Wells. So like something like that. So now I just go down and then I hit post. And now Lizette is going to be pinged that I tagged her, that I mentioned her. And of course, Tracy is going to be pinged because I commented on that post she did about a month ago. So don't worry if it's an old post. If that group is still meeting and you think you can support the group and the person, go ahead and comment on it. Oh, we're almost to our time here. So the other thing I want to make sure to show you is notifications. And one of the things I do help my clients with, to do a slide sales pitch here during an hour session, is I go through their notifications and a bunch of other settings with them, and I help them get so they have fewer notifications, and both by email and through the website itself. So if I go down here and I see somebody has a new job, I could go in and say, way to go. Here's somebody's viewed my pro. Well, all this is here. So you can go publicly. Here's Margarita. So I don't really know her that well, but let's say I did. I go in here and then I would like put maybe celebrate, something like that, and write a little note. So then just like with commenting, all the people there who are commenting on her job, they'll see my comment. I want to make sure I catch any other. Oh, you like that, Patricia? Yeah. Okay, make sure to unmute and ask any questions. We have about 5 minutes or so left for our time together. And I wanted to see if there's anything else people have questions about, where I could, go someplace on LinkedIn and show you.
Joyce, how do you go in and look at someone's profile incognito?
Ooh, I could, maybe I paid you to ask that question. No, this is the kind of thing I show people, I'll show you, because you go to your settings, watch carefully. This is not a slide on this, but I'll show you. It's all about visibility, right? So you go to the visibility settings. Conveniently, it's the very top setting. So watch this, Marsha. You go all the way down to anonymous LinkedIn member. Don't do that middle one, because they might say, oh yeah, it must have been Joyce. She went to the UW, Wisconsin. No, all the way to anonymous, but don't stay there, because then when you look at somebody else who you want to have them see it, then they won't know it's really you, right? The main people who sometimes will hang out in that indefinitely are the job seekers, because they don't necessarily want to be tipping their hand to the hiring authorities and stuff. So yeah, that's where you go. So just settings and visibility and then profile viewing. Any other questions? Jennifer,
Joyce,
did you? Yeah.
question. I know you've probably told me this 1,000 times before, but just in terms of like updating content on your profile and your summary line, do you have like a recommended time frame for how often we should be doing that?
Oh, I think maybe once a quarter could be enough, once a month at the most. I mean, the actual content on there, because maybe you left a group. I think it depends. It doesn't have to be real often though. I don't think, unless other people have thoughts on that. One thing I thought you maybe were going to ask is, say I was going to go make a tweak in this particular position, and I don't want people to all be pinged that I did it. So this only just works for, I think, an experience, like added a job or changed a job, added a job or made a change in a job listing. This is the default, but see, I don't want to be notifying them. Maybe when you get the job, you do want to notify them. Actually, that would make sense. But not when you're making little changes. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one, Joyce.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you showed us was your video, which I really liked, but that isn't the same thing as LinkedIn Live, right?
LinkedIn Live is really conducting like an interview show typically, where
Okay.
they'll, like you would talk, or you could, I guess you could just do a monologue. But
Okay.
yeah, it's more,
And
if you ever watch.
can you turn it on and off? Like if you wanted to do something. with it, turn it off?
Oh, brilliant question. I imagine you might be able to. I think you should dig into that, learn more. If you go over into content, here's where, let's look at this together again. So if we go here, like here we go to next, and then we enable this, we'll say we're done. We're going to go with this. Well, actually, no, I want to go back. I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. So if I go back here, I guess it works either way. So now we're back here. Now I want to go look at LinkedIn Live. All right, see this? So LinkedIn Live, learn more about these tools. Creator mode, creator tools, LinkedIn Live, okay? So this is what you want to go and read the fine print to see if you could go in and out of that.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an idea. That's a workaround. It could make, I want to get out of this, stop this.
Did you
Any
say
other
You can
questions?
only go into LinkedIn Live if you're in Creator?
Yes,
Okay,
you have to have enabled creator mode. It's like a portal
got it.
into it. That's my understanding. Updating your headline and summary sections. Yeah, well, that's kind of your question. I think it just depends. If you started adding a new service, also say you got this awesome recommendation. So Hillary, it just blew your socks off. Now the recommendations, they just kind of gradually going to get eclipsed by other newer recommendations. So if you got this terrific recommendation, take a little clip of that and put that up into your summary or the about section, put that at the end, replace the older one with the newer one. That could be a time to do it as well. But for you, because you've made this big change, where can you purchase my book? Which book is that? Yeah, that, it's Jennifer that has a book. I don't have a book. But you know what I'll do, everybody? I'll send you my ebook that is free. It's in a PDF and it has a lot of information I'm sharing to be slightly out of date because it was written before some of these most recent changes. Okay, I'm going to stop the share and stop the recording because, here we go, stop the recording because we are at, do I stop on recording?